Governor John Kasich of Ohio joins us right now. Governor Kasich, what do you make of the leadership coming from the White House on this issue of a lost U.S. resident?
Well, Chris, I think it's just terrible. Look, let's just say that the president's right. We don't know, OK, because nobody really knows yet for sure, even though the Germans, the French, the British have all called for an investigation. The evidence has mounted in terms of U.S. intelligence picking things up. I've read a lot. I've studied a lot. I've thought a lot about this. But let's just give them the benefit of the doubt, OK? Well, then you don't go to a conference over there so they can extend their economic power. You don't talk about having arms sales. You say, we're going to freeze the arms sales. We're not going to do that until we get to the bottom of this. And Chris, look, I've heard people say, I've heard the president say, this is about, money, the arms trade. I heard somebody say to me the other day, America is an idea. It is an idea. The things that we believe in, the things that we stand for, that we believe in human rights and all these things that we have stood for the last 70 years. So money does not trump, it should never trump our foreign policy actions. And also, Chris, we got to say that a lot of these CEOs who thought that they needed to be in Saudi Arabia from many, many big companies in the United States stood up and said, we're not going. And they deserve credit for that. They need to be held up, and we need to be able to say to them that they've put some principle ahead of profit, which is what is critical for the economic system of our country.
But Trump, the president's saying he's out there for Raytheon, he's out there for Boeing, he's out there for U.S. producers. He's acting like he's their, commercial trade representative.
Yeah, well, Chris, that's not how you do foreign policy. Foreign policy is not just about, of course, we'd like to have jobs. We want economic contacts. It's why we shouldn't be in all these trade wars. We should try to, get our tariffs down so we can have more free trade. We believe in free enterprise. We believe in profit, but we also believe that there are principles that underlie profit. And look, I know you're a guy that studies a lot of these philosophers. Michael Novak, the great Catholic theologian,
Michael Novak.
He said a free enterprise system that is not underlaid with a set of values is bankrupt. We're not going to go around and say, okay, we could sell more weapons to Saudi Arabia, therefore we ought to look the other way. I mean, come on. Listen, Chris, this is unanimous, right? This is a bipartisan outrage about this. And in the meantime, you don't go to the conference. Mnuchin shouldn't go to the conference. Praise the CEOs that are not going to the conference, and don't sell them any more weapons. Don't do that now till we get to the bottom of it. And we will get to the bottom of it.
Well, Governor, this isn't the first time that Trump has elevated the assurances of despotic leaders over his own intelligence community. Politico quotes, look at this, perhaps more than any president in modern history, Donald Trump is often willing and sometimes even eager to uncritically repeat the assertions of authoritarian leaders, breaking with his own government experts. Let's take a look at some of those examples.
He's a, funny guy. He's a very smart guy. He's a great negotiator. He loves his people. Not that I'm surprised by that, but he loves his people. I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today. It's a great honor and privilege, because he's become a friend of mine, to introduce President Erdogan of Turkey. He's running a very difficult part of the world. He's involved very, very strongly, and frankly, he's getting very high marks.
What do you make of that, Governor? I mean, this...
Come on, Chris. Look,
I don't know what you call it. What is it? Why does he do this? Go ahead.
You remember that clarion moment when Reagan, in the beginning, said, to Dick Allen, the former national security advisor, in regard to the Soviet Union, we win and they lose. He was standing up against repression. Now we look just not in the video and the audio that you have just played, but you think about the developments in Poland. You think about the developments that are happening in Hungary right now, the loss of the press, the shutdown of the courts. Here's the thing, Chris. You can't look the other way when it comes to autocrats. If you look the other way, they're emboldened to do things that take away people's rights. I was just with a European ambassador the other day that said, when you start playing with fire, with the extreme right, any of these people who border on demagogues, and that, of course, would occur to the extreme left as well, you play with fire and you embolden people. So this notion that somehow, they're okay, no, they're terrible, and we ought to point out where they're wrong, that doesn't mean we have to go to war with them. But we should be clear about the need for human rights, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom of speech. These are essential elements for freedom in the Western world. It's what our people went and fought and died for when they landed on the beaches in World War II. This is what we're about. I'm trying not to get emotional too much about this.
You are, but that's what you should be.
People have made huge
you
sacrifices for these things, and we need to honor them.
You know what Jack Kennedy said along the lines you were just speaking there? He said, those who ride the tiger end up in its mouth. Thank you very much, Governor John Kasich of Ohio.
Thanks,
Thank you for the honor and the passion of having you on.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.